Hello. The UK housing crisis is made up of two parts, a crisis for home buyers and a crisis for renters. With home buyers, the crisis is one of affordability, and with renters, it's one of availability. In this video, I'm going to explain the underlying causes for each of these problems and then look at the ways in which these problems can be addressed. At the end, you'll see that there is no realistic solution for the first problem in the short and medium term, despite what the government says. But I'll explain how the overall housing issue can be helped by resolving the availability crisis for renters and how passive investors can be a part of that solution. Let's look at the affordability crisis for home buyers. For many first-time buyers, home ownership is drifting further out of reach. Affordability has broken down. Even so-called affordable homes are becoming increasingly unaffordable relative to wages. House prices have significantly outpaced earnings over the past 2 decades, whilst mortgage costs have remained elevated compared to the ultra-low interest rate era of after the financial crisis. Although inflation has eased somewhat, it may rise further due to the Iran war. And mortgage rates remain high, making monthly repayments extremely challenging for younger buyers. Borrowing costs may increase or remain elevated for longer than previously expected due to the Iran war. The result is simple. Larger deposits are required, monthly repayments are higher, fewer people can qualify for mortgages. Risks for buyers is high, and so buyers stay in the rental sector for longer. This creates a vicious cycle where demand for rental property rises whilst home ownership falls. The magic solution is quoted as lots of house building by governments of all colors. There are two issues with this. Firstly, house building is far behind target, and secondly, it is impossible to build new affordable homes due to high house building costs. Successive governments have repeatedly missed house building targets. The UK simply has not built enough homes to meet population growth and demand. The shortage is particularly severe in genuinely affordable housing and social housing. Whilst politicians often pledge hundreds of thousands of affordable new homes, the economics are increasingly difficult. Construction costs remain high, land prices are expensive, planning delays slow delivery, labor and skill shortages affect the sector, developers face squeezed margin, and higher safety rules add extra cost. The political narrative often assumes affordable homes can simply be built into existence. In practice, affordable housing developments frequently require heavy subsidy or cross-financing from more affordable developments. Developers will not build when they expect losses. Large-scale delivery of truly affordable homes remains extremely difficult. The deeper issue is that demand continues to outstrip supply due to a growing population and more single-person households. There is no realistic possibility of houses becoming more affordable in the near or medium term. I can't see a way of solving this problem. Prices on affordable houses will gradually continue to rise. This is good for long-term property investors, but bad for first-time buyers. Let's now talk about the second part of the housing crisis, which is the crisis of availability for renters. Demand for rental properties is increasing for three main reasons. Firstly, the crisis of affordability for home buyers is driving them to the rental sector. Secondly, for younger people, rental has become a lifestyle, and many prefer to rent as this gives them the flexibility to move around and limits their liabilities and responsibilities. And thirdly, and most importantly, the Renters' Rights Act has made renting fairer for tenants and has made it more attractive. Now, the problem is that the supply of rental properties is actually going down. And this downward trend has been accelerated by some silly rules in the Renters' Rights Act and other rhetoric from the government, which has frightened active landlords. Rental supply is falling because many active landlords are exiting the market due to rising costs and tighter regulation. Several factors are contributing: higher mortgage interest rates, reduced tax reliefs, increasing compliance costs, energy efficiency requirements, and the biggest factor seems to be greater legal and administrative burden and associated stress for active landlords. Research suggests around 200,000 rental properties were removed from the market in the past year. This matters because when supply falls but demand remains strong, then rents rise. The government often represents institutional build-to-rent developments as the future solution for this crisis. However, this build-to-rent sector remains relatively small, accounting for only around 2% of privately rented homes in Britain. And developers building such homes face the same cost issues discussed before and are not able to build affordable new homes for rental. Build to rent is not a short-term or even medium-term solution. So what is the solution? There is no single fix to the UK housing crisis, but one reality is becoming increasingly clear. The country cannot solve its housing shortage without significantly increasing housing supply. And for the reasons explained, this is not possible in the short to medium term. However, what is possible over the short to medium term is to make more rental properties available. The government can do this by changing policy to encourage responsible landlords and investors to invest in property and make good rental accommodation available. This means reducing unnecessary administrative complexity, offering clearer regulation, and reducing taxes and stamp duty. Actively supporting landlords is the easiest and quickest way to help with the UK housing crisis. The situation right now is that we do have better quality homes with more renter rights, but rents will continue to rise and supply will get tighter. This situation is likely to remain. Now, what does this mean for new investors? Well, this is actually a reassuring picture from an investment return point of view. A demand for renting is likely to increase further because affordability barriers to buying will stay high, and the flexibility of renting now with better renter rights and higher standards will make it more attractive. And due to tight supply, landlords will be able to maintain their returns by increasing rents. For 100% passive investors, it's even better because they don't need to worry about all the responsibilities, liabilities, and extra regulation from the Renters' Rights Act. They can simply buy the property and then rent it to a professional property company, such as the sponsor of this video, that then sublets to its own tenants and acts as the landlord. Such passive owners can benefit from secure net returns due to the higher rental demand without being the active landlord, and thus have none of the liabilities of the tenancy or property maintenance. So by investing in property passively, not only do you have long-term security and good overall investment returns without any tenant or maintenance liabilities, but you're also helping with the UK housing crisis. Please watch the message from our sponsor at the end on how this passive property investment works. Thanks for watching. Freehold houses in the north are the best form of UK property investment. They're affordable, deliver higher rental yields, and are growing at 6% per year. And here's an amazing offer from our sponsor.
Most investors spend £120,000 on one property. This deal gets you 2 houses from our range and effectively get the larger one at less than half price. It also hands you legal ownership of both houses today and delivers over £1,000 net rent every single month. Let that sink in. Same budget, but instead of one asset, you get 2 freehold houses registered in your name immediately. Take the 2-bed H2 option, each valued at £86,000. With this amazing offer, the total package price you pay is just £120,000. That's a huge discount of more than £51,000. You enter a rent-free period of 4 years and 4 months, which at first might sound like a drawback, until you realise that the future rent is what's funding the deal and getting you a second property for less than half the normal price. No interest charges, no complex financing, just a clean, structured arrangement. Once that 4-year, 4-month period ends, you're collecting over £12,000 net rent per year. That's a 10% net rental yield of over £1,000 a month after all costs and fees. Nothing more to pay out. For bigger budgets, the 2-bed and 3-bed combo includes our top-of-the-range 3-bed semi-detached house, which we normally sell for £129,000. But you get it for effectively half price at £64,500. With this combo, the net rent amount jumps to over £15,000 annually. Any combination of the 7 eligible property types lands you at roughly 10% net yield. Prices are rising on low-cost, freehold houses in the north by around 6% per year. Our prices are increasing in the summer by £2,000 per property. If you make a reservation this month, we will honour the current price even if completion is after the price increase. Visit Fine UK Property and talk to a consultant today.